All right. Well, Gus, thanks again for joining the Abundant Wallet podcast. I appreciate you having you on. Yeah. So yeah. Anytime. Like I said, you have looks like great knowledge and a lot of wisdom and years of experience. So I definitely want to jump into some of that stuff. So um, yeah, so I guess, yeah. So if you don't mind, if you can just like kind of tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe a little bit of background of how you actually got into real estate investing.
Yeah, no, I did not have any background in any of this. My wife and I got into it just out of necessity. I, a few years back the last 9 to 5 that I had was working for Dish. I was working in retention. So that's where, customers call in, they reach out, they want to cancel their service. And my job is to try to convince them to stay and sign a 2-year contract. Not only stay, sign a 2-year contract. So they already hate your guts calling in. Yeah, no, that was tough.
Yeah, I
Really
can't see
tough.
why. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's that sounds like a really tough
Well, yeah,
position.
yeah, it makes you not want to go into into work. Just a bunch of older people telling you how much you suck and how, I mean, you don't pay it too much mind because sometimes I would get the feeling they just wanted to call in to be heard. It's a lot of older people, and I wouldn't imagine they have too many people to talk to. I would have a heart to heart with some people, but man, the other people, they'll threaten you and just wait till I find out where you live and this and this.
Oh man.
And I mean, I get their frustration, but again, it was my job to, hey, I know you're frustrated, but you want to stay with us another 2 years? It's like, what? I'm planning to cancel. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I did that. And then I was actually let go of my job. And it happened around the time we found out we were going to have our first baby, our daughter.
Wow.
So that just kind of put everything into perspective. And I had already had my wife and I were already kind of interested in possibly investing in real estate, and we liked short-term rentals specifically.
Yeah.
Just because it was top of mind. We had just stayed at an Airbnb in the Orlando area. We went to Disney World, and it was a townhome, and it was terrible. The sheets were really dirty, and it just everything was bad. The host was very slow to respond to any of the issues we had, and we just kind of told ourselves even then, like, man, if this guy is this booked and it's this bad, there's no way we can do worse than this. Like we can only do better than this. We need to figure out a way to get into this. And bam, hey, you let go. All right, well, what better time than to try it now?
Yeah. It's like a blessing in disguise.
Yeah,
So
it really was. Yeah, no, at the time we're stressed out, but I mean, it's exactly that. I mean, we had been saving, and we decided to house hack a fourplex
nice.
in a suburb just outside of Chicago. We house hacked it. We lived in one. Three, I mean, the other three apartments were in really bad shape. It was, we got a really good deal on it, but it needed a lot of work. And thankfully, my wife she had a lot of interest in interior design, and she did all the remodels, honestly. Our roles are reversed. I'm more of the manager, hospitality guy, guest communications, guest complaints, all that, and she's the hands-on. I wanna do drywall.
Really?
Yeah, she
That's
created
incredible.
a whole stairs and like a deck area in our backyard all by herself. And yeah, no, she killed it. So she got those units ready. We were super nervous, but we decided to go with the smallest one first, Airbnb it. We fully furnished it, not too much money in, and it went really well. I mean, before we went live, there was actually a person on Facebook who was reaching out because I guess she had a friend who was looking for a place near us, and she was just complaining about how there weren't many Airbnbs and there weren't really hotels. And I was like, hey man, we're gonna go live on Airbnb soon. We're not ready yet, but we can try to go as quick as we can, and we can host her. She could be our first person.
Yeah.
And she got us in contact. We negotiated the terms. She stayed with us. She gave us really, really good pointers. I took her advice to heart. And yeah, that's what kind of got it rolling. We started snowballing it. We decided to, okay, well, this one's going good. Let's go with the next smallest one because it's going to be a little more affordable to furnish. And
Yeah.
it just kept snowballing it, man. And yeah, no, it was really stressful, but it was really fun too. Just finding out while we're doing it that this was something that we were good at. My wife with the whole remodeling interior decor, and then me with the whole management side of it, and kind of, guest communications, and eventually I got to hiring cleaners, and yeah, no, it's been a ride for sure.
Yeah, that's great. So kind of going back, it looks like, I mean, it was a low barrier, especially because of the experience that you had in that Orlando Airbnb, and
Yeah.
you're just kind of thinking ahead, especially now that you have more time because of the layoff, and you're just like, wow, like there's definitely something here in it, and if we can do it better, and it sounds like you and your wife are just a great dynamic duo team,
Yeah.
and crushed it. So yeah.
Yeah, it just worked out, and it just worked out that way. That we're my weaknesses and strengths are her weaknesses and strengths, and we just kind of, yeah, we made a really, really good team.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, house hacking is, I mean, typically I see a lot of people doing a house hack with maybe like a duplex, but like
Mhm.
you had three extra units. I think you're not just getting your mortgage paid for it, but you're getting some cash flow, right?
Yeah, no, it was really nice. Since we did this, any chance I get, typically my first bit of advice for anyone that's maybe looking to get into real estate, but they don't know, they're nervous, or hey, I don't have a lot of money saved up. It's, man, try to house hack. And anybody who's watching this, just house hack. If that's
Yeah,
going to be the first investment you make it be that. And the more units you can squeeze in, the better. Because, like you said, yeah, you can do a duplex and it can offset most of your mortgage, depending on where you are, the cost, obviously, the property taxes, all that. But
yeah.
if you can get a triplex or a quadplex, especially a quadplex, man, it is so worth it. It's worth it. And I know a lot of people say, well, I don't know if I want to live with so many people around me, or what if this? It's like, no, but you're in charge of who you're gonna live with. So especially if you guys are already living in an apartment or whatever, this is the best way to get into it. And if done right, if you do your due diligence, if you call, if you check local ordinances and zoning restrictions, all that, and you're going to be, especially for short-term rentals, it is a powerful tool, man. We were making more living at this place than what my previous job was paying me, and that's while we're living
That's
there. It's like, dude, I'm more than surpassed. I said we're living for free and we're making a lot of money. That's amazing.
yeah, that's validation right there. So like, there must have been also something that, even though it was a tough road because of the renovations, there must have been something that you saw in yourself and your wife, or at least in the industry, that, maybe talk about like what you actually saw of like, yeah, we can definitely do this. Like, was there a breaking point as like, um was obviously something kept nagging at you coming back, and you're like, this is worth the effort. What was it that?
I mean, I think even just talking to other Airbnb hosts, and this wasn't even after me being a host myself for too long, but just seeing how they operate, how they communicate with guests, getting feedback from other guests, looking at the local competition. It's just, now it's gotten more competitive now. I mean, this
Oh,
was a few years
oh yeah,
ago. It's definitely more competitive now.
yes,
But at that time, I mean, it just seemed like, at least for us, like, why are they taking pictures like that? Like, that doesn't look good. Like, why are they taking pictures with their cell phones? So when we first started, I mean, I had already been listening to a lot of podcasts, and my wife as well, and watching a lot of YouTube videos on how to operate successful Airbnbs. So we went in not newbies, but we knew stuff. So our very first Airbnb, we were able to implement all that into that one, and especially in the suburb that we were at, the competition was just very not. It just wasn't good. It was a very low barrier to of entry, and we immediately were different. We had nice pictures. My wife made the beds look really nice. Her interior decor was very well thought out. The
yeah,
flow of everything was really nice. I mean, she painted the walls, and Like everything was very intentional, which I mean, other Airbnbs are just you think you're walking into grandma's house, or this place definitely went to a Facebook marketplace for all their things. Everything's kind of mishmash. There's no cohesion with the design or anything. And I think just noticing that, it's like we can do this different. We can do this better. And it was apparent. I mean, every listing that would go up would be really popular. We'd get bookings, not too long after going live. I mean, a few hours in, we were already many bookings in for each listing on our own property that we went into. So I guess that's when we were like, hey, this is like our thing. I think we could really kill it doing this. And then, like a year into it, I had my neighbor, I guess him and his girlfriend were looking at Airbnbs, and they're like, hey, this is my neighbor's Airbnb. I'm pretty sure this is a house. He reached out to me through Airbnb, and he was like, hey, I'm actually remodeling my house. And I was wondering if you'd want to help us turn my house into an Airbnb. And I was not planning on doing other people's houses. I wasn't planning on co-hosting or managing other people's stuff, but I was like, why not? I mean, he's my neighbor. He's next door. Let's walk over. I'll talk to him and see see if we come to an agreement or something. And we did. I mean, he was a cool guy. I started, working with him, and we started giving him a little bit of guidance. So that was like my first consulting as well. And he followed everything to a T, and we launched that one. And again, that one also did really well off the bat. And then just word of mouth, I got another one not too far from us, and then I joined Airbnb's, they call it the co-hosting network, and everyone that I've gotten since then has been through their co-hosting network. And I'm a little picky on who I bring on too, because I get a lot of people that reach out, but you'll have someone who has like a house, but they only want to rent the bedroom, and they want me to do it between like July and August and stuff like that, where it's not worth it. It's like, no, we'll kind of stick on this.
Yeah, you're going to lose too much money by doing that. Yeah, no, that's awesome. So with your neighbor, you're now no longer doing that for yourself, but you're helping something else. So I feel like there's probably like a roadmap of sorts where maybe down the line, or maybe you're still doing some type of consulting or teaching others how to do this. Let me ask you this. What was it? Did you just read about it, or what made you do like short-term rentals right from the start as opposed to like long-term?
Cash flow. I mean, definitely the potential for the higher cash flow. We had our 9-to-5s, and we were planning on, we're going to save our money. Let's buy a duplex, a triplex, and we'll rent it long term. And then maybe eventually down the line, we do it again. But when I started getting into the Airbnb again, because of that stay, then you start learning like, oh, wow, you can make more money doing this. And it's more work, but it's worth it if you can 2 to sometimes 3, even 4x what a long-term rental would make you. And I ran my numbers. I made sure everything was going to line up to what we wanted it to for it to be sustainable if we're going to be buying, all the furnishings for all these apartments. And it was, and thankfully we did it. And yeah, no, it was definitely the cash flow that made us look at Airbnb.
That's great. Well, I mean, you obviously have the things in place to do that. The more you learn, the more stuff that you're doing for the short term. So it seems like you've had quite a bit of success and some early wins. Was there anything that that may have been like a tough lesson or a setback that you learned and you kind of moved on from that?
I mean, it's ongoing, but buying an older property, and that's the thing, we know things are going to happen, but to the extent you don't know until it happens. And again, having an older property, you're just going to be prone to having to fix more things, and we're still going through that right now. I mean, a lot of the mechanicals were very old. We've already replaced most of them, but I mean, we've had issues with, like, we had a radiator that actually this past winter, a few months ago, just blew up and flooded the first floor, and we had to fix that. That was not fun. We're occupied on all the apartments, so it's even worse when you have people opening the door and they're like, yeah, I'm going to close this door back up and go back inside. What is going on out there?
Yeah. So you got emergencies and.
Yeah. So I had a few guests reach out around the same time, and they're like, hey, there's like smoke everywhere. And that's because they had popped, and it was so cold outside. It was almost -20.
Wow.
So like the inside was just super foggy. You couldn't see anything. And then the downstairs guest couldn't see anything, but she stepped on water, and she's like, your whole carpet is flooded right now. Like, you guys need to come check it out. So
wow.
Yeah, no, so it's definitely been that. And we, again, as we go, as we cash flow, we do cash flow these repairs, and we have some money on the side. But the next property, we are now intentional about getting something not quite so old, so we don't go through, through this again. But I mean, other than that, it's just you just learn. I mean, you're in hospitality, you're communicating with guests, and when you first start off, it's a lot of trial and error. You find out that, oh, maybe I shouldn't have promised this, or you just you kind of you hone your skill set as a hospitality manager the longer you go. And one thing that I say now all the time is I always under promise, over deliver, which in hospitality is everything. If someone reaches out to have an issue, okay, well, we're gonna get on it as quick as we can. You don't give a specific time. You don't say, I'm gonna be there in 5 minutes. It's, we'll get it done as quick as we can. Thank you for letting us know, with the intention of, I'm literally going to go there right now. And I want to
Yes.
surprise them with how early I got there. And we're going to, if we need to give them a gift card or whatever, it's making sure the guest is happy. It's what we didn't get when we were in Orlando that we do. That's been the difference maker for us.
Yeah. I mean, you're obviously thinking of quality, and, it's not, at the end of the day, it's not the cash flow. It's how can I treat my guests the way I want to be treated.
Exactly.
Right. So you definitely delivered on that. I would also say, like, especially when you're considering buying, like I would have done the same thing. Like, sometimes there's like two schools of thoughts, right? Like, older properties are generally cheaper, and depending on what comes back from an inspection, maybe you fix a couple things at a time. And granted, with an older property, you're probably going to have more things that are wrong. So maybe you have a bigger slush fund for capital expenditures. But
Yeah.
if that's something where you're drawing a line in the sand to where, maybe a new property might cost a little bit more. Maybe you're saying, like, let's not, old is okay, but let's not go that old, just so we're not having to replace all these different things at different times, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. We don't regret getting this place. I mean, this place it's been a very good money generator for us. We're happy we got it. But as you have a nicer budget for the next place, you can kind of be a little pickier with what you get. Where with this one, it was just, what's the most we can get for the cheapest? And it was this, and it worked, thankfully.
Yeah.
And it set the stage for what we have going on moving forward. But yeah, we're not counting out an older property. If the deal makes sense, the deal makes sense, and that's it. Nothing, no age, whatever. If it makes sense, it's going to make sense, obviously. But we do have our eyes set on something less than 100, and I think our place is like 115 years old or something.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Nothing. That's good. Cool. So in addition to like short term and midterm, like, can you speak to like what maybe your current investment strategy looks like today?
Yeah, so we I didn't even talk about it, but we do midterm rentals as well, and that we kind of do in the off season when it gets a little bit colder outside, when it's less busy. We start pivoting a little bit more towards furnish finder, talking to these insurance companies that might have a family that needs to be relocated for a few months. So we do midterm rentals in the winter. Sometimes, I mean, we've gotten busy enough with Airbnb that this past year wasn't as much as last year. We had, at least with because I don't have a real estate license, so I can't do it for other people. But at least for my property, I feel like last year we had all of them midterm rentals except for one, our studio. We still had his Airbnb in the winter. This year we actually didn't have any midterm rentals, but it's a nice backup plan. And in terms of what I have going on right now, what's been taking up a lot of my time is AI.
Yes.
I've gotten a lot into vibe coding, some apps. I made
Awesome.
So I use Hospitable for my PMS for my rentals, and Hospitable had a build-a-thon last month for people to integrate their data, because they just gave us access to the MCP, so we can integrate their data with whatever bills we have. And I submitted an entry. It's called the Small Console. It's like a dashboard, but I made it a little nerdy, a little fun. It's like a mashup of Game of Thrones and World of Warcraft, so it almost looks like a video game.
Wow.
And I created little like player cards with like HP if people play RPG games, and each character is an actual AI bot that I was already working with, that I created, and each one has different assignments, different tasks that they're in charge of. The dashboard itself gives me all of my businesses metrics, so our gross income, our net turnovers, the dates that they're going to be there, any guest complaints, it brings it top of mind so that I can see what the guest complaints were for. Just a bunch of stuff. And I submitted that into Hospitable's Build-a-thon, and I got first place. So I was super, super excited. Thank
Awesome.
you. I felt like a kid in a school play. My God, I hope I win. I hope I win.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, no, that's been taking up a lot of time. I'm still working on that. I'm creating a messaging side to it because it's a dashboard, but now I want to create something that I can use to communicate with guests, where it's just a little bit easier. It works a little bit more for me. Hospitables is very plain, and I'm basically just making it to my taste. I found out not too long ago I have ADHD, and it makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
I see something, and that's what I'm going to gravitate towards, and then everything else just kind of passing me by, and I have to kind of make myself like stick to the one task at hand. And
Yeah.
and
It's kind of like the shiny object syndrome.
yeah, exactly that.
Okay. Yeah.
Exactly that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
trying to kind of tame myself. Like, all right, let's not get carried away. This is exciting, but let's not get carried away. One thing at a time.
No, that's super awesome. I mean, you resourceful you are in terms of just picking something up and running with it. So are the apps that you created, are they just for your business, or are they for download or resale, or you haven't thought that far ahead?
Yeah, so the one that I mentioned is specifically just for my rentals, for my co-hosting business.
Okay.
Again, that aggregates data from my personal rentals and then also from my customers. But then I'm also working on, it's called Check My Tax, and that's it's a site where a customer can go. You put in your address as long as you're in Cook County in Chicago. And it'll analyze whatever property you put in as long as it's a residential property and see if you are in position to appeal your taxes. If you are, then you have the option of purchasing a DIY kit for $99. But the nice thing about this is there's other companies that do the same thing and they charge a little bit more, but they give you a template
Okay.
that you still need to go get the information yourself, you fill in the details, and then you turn it in into the city. Mine analyzes everything using the address you put in, and it does everything for you. Your job now is just to click the links that I provide in the email and then copy and paste it onto the website in the city. And then that's it. You just kind of wait. And if your taxes are appealed, they're appealed. If not, then you have a second chance to do it again. But that's what that one is.
And that's property taxes, right?
Correct. Property tax.
Okay. So it's some type of like basically template or like program to have a tax abatement with the county to where
Correct.
you get that discount. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, and it uses county information too. It's not just kind of pulling it in from random. It's connected to the Socrates API, so it aggregates all the right information for Cook County. And the hope is to do well with that, and then start adding some more counties to it, and just start expanding that way. But it's a really good product. I put a lot of time into it, and then outside of that, I have my, I've been playing a lot with OpenClaw, and that's kind of all over the place. That'll send me emails, and that's like my assistant. I have a VA that I hire from the Philippines, and she's great. But this does a lot of very specific tasks at certain times of the day, and then on certain dates as well.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. You're learning in addition to your industry, like what everyone is trying to adopt, which is AI, and you're obviously doing some really cool things. That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's fun.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. So in addition to what you talked about, how do you like typically fund your deals? Like, is it mostly you just have a certain point to where you're cash flowing and you have a certain amount of capital, and then you go seek the next one? Like, is that like a whole process, or is that like a manual thing? And how do you usually think about deploying deals?
Yeah, so when it comes to that, I would say that is more of my weakness. Is just kind of I'll be honest, man, we just go off the cuff when it comes to that.
Yeah, and that's normal. That's normal. That's what people do.
Yeah. It's more like, hey, that looks good. That just went up. Let's check it out and see if the numbers make sense for it. Let's call. But that is one thing that's been difficult, is that it has gotten, or the state has gotten a lot more strict with a lot of the cities when it comes to short-term rentals. And that's where we're finding ourselves having to probably pivot to where our previous plan was, we're going to make sure it makes sense for STR and then MTR, and then LTR. But now it's been, I mean, it's been restricted in so many places where before it was just kind of open. So
Yeah.
now we're kind of looking at it as, okay, well, is this going to make sense as a midterm rental? What's the what are the local businesses there? What are the local attractions? Excuse me. And then if it makes sense as an MTO, let's also make sure it's going to make sense as a long-term rental, because I mean, obviously that's always going to have to be a backup that you have in mind, that if anything goes wrong, it's going to make sense long-term rental. I would never, ever, ever advise anyone to not run their numbers for any property they ever get that doesn't make sense as a long-term rental, because like I mentioned earlier, I talked to other networked with other short-term rental hosts, and they only look at short-term rental numbers and if it's going to make sense. But it's like, no, 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 you're doing it backwards. It has to make sense as a long-term,
Yeah.
and then midterm, and then short term. But obviously, going in, you want a short term. But I always say you have to look at your long term numbers first, because if it doesn't make sense as a long term rental, why are you getting it? Unless
Yeah.
it's going to appreciate, and you're going to sell it really quick. But that's like a whole other thing. But if you're gonna hold, it has to make sense as a long term rental.
Yeah, that's great advice. No, that's good. So, I mean, as far as like that process, it sounds like you have, even if it's manual, like some type of triage process with numbers and thresholds and stuff like that, from long term to midterm to short term. That's awesome. It looks like you got your ducks in a row there. Kind of going back to like the capital question and the funding question. What do you typically do if you find like a great deal? Is that just something that you have in a bank account, a high yield savings? What do you typically do when you see that deal that like, oh, we have to get this one? What's the process for funding that?
Yeah, so we have a high yield savings account with family,
Mhm.
and we our approach is we want to do a 5% conventional house hack to house hack, and that just makes it a lot easier to pick up than going with the 3.5%, just because it's going to be a lot more strict. You have to meet certain, or you have to go over the restrictions that they set for 3.5%, whereas 5% is a little easier. But yeah, no, like I said, it's not like oh, we have a specific amount or whatever. It's just if something looks good, if my wife and I are always looking at places on Redfin. We use Redfin a lot. Realtor. And if something looks good, then we'll look at it. We'll have our real estate agent show it to us. But we're still, when it comes to that, we're still learning. I mean, we're still very young in that, and we don't have like a very specific guideline of it has to be this, or it has to be in this area this much, or we're going to use this. We're open to, I mean, we're not in position to now, but eventually we do want to start doing like, more of the private money side, but, getting a little more creative with it, I guess. But that's going to be more so when we start looking at like vacation spots, maybe places that we're not going to be house hacking or anything like that.
Okay. No, that makes sense. That's actually where I was kind of going next. I think I know the answer to the question, but it sounds like right now you're using your own capital. You're not
Our own capital, correct.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're not leveraging either the banks or anyone else's, which, less debt. And with the 5% versus the 3.5, maybe the Airbnb restrictions are a little bit more tight, where now you have more equity. And
Yeah.
that's the way to go. You have more skin in the game, so to speak. So that's good. Cool. Do you feel right now like maybe capital is either limiting you or slowing you down at all? Not so much.
Specifically right now it has. We just had again, going back to older property. We just replaced our septic tank out back, because we are on well and private. So we had to replace that. We just replaced our water boiler. We replaced our furnace. We had to tear one of the apartments. It's an older property. The floors were dipping a little bit.
Okay.
It was especially bad in one of our downstairs unit. We had to completely tear the floor off and add all new flooring. Just had our flood a few months ago. So yeah, no, it's been fun.
Keeping you busy, right?
Yeah. So it's been a little tighter than we wanted it to, because we were planning to have purchased something like 6-7 months beforehand, and then that's when some of this stuff started happening. So right now we're kind of playing catch up and excited that we're coming into the very busy season, that being June through August. So it should be nice. And then put ourselves in position to start looking again, hopefully around fall time.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So as far as some of the financial vehicles out there, have you heard about, or have you ever looked at ways to recycle or reuse your capital more efficiently between deals?
I not to great extent, no,
Okay.
because I know you can get really creative,
Yeah.
and I mean I talk to a lot of guys that are super creative, but when it comes to that, I would say that is something that I still need to work on. That is probably one of my weaker points is coming up with creative ways of raising money and being able to fund these deals.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. I too struggle with that, and I am a financial strategist, and I kind of help people get into these vehicles. But the main thing is to privatize your banking function, so you're not getting these huge amounts of interest from the central bank or a hard money lender. You
Mhm.
obviously are doing it correct because you're house hacking, so you have a significantly low down payment. But there is an opportunity to recapture, or for you to grow the money that you're using for these deals and have it grow in your banking function at the same time. Not a lot of people have heard about that type of scenario, but
Yeah.
and we don't have to talk about that now, but I would love to maybe do a deeper dive with some numbers and see, if you would, at least be open to that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. That sounds great. Yeah, would love to set something up like that with you and your wife and just see what that looks like. And yeah, that sounds good. So I know we are probably about 45 minutes in. I don't know if you still have some time, but I have just a few more questions unless you
Yeah, of
unless you
course.
got to go.
I'm good.
Oh, cool. Well, thanks for sticking with me. I appreciate that. Where do you see investors in general like losing the most money, like without realizing it? What do you think is like the top one or two things that, maybe they're just too, maybe it's emotion, maybe they're just gung ho and they're like, or maybe they're first starting out and they're just like, oh yeah, this is, this is, maybe they're looking at YouTube or Instagram. It's just like everything is perfect, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a few. I have a client right now who just received a notice that he's not able to run his house as a short-term rental, and he reached out about a week and a half ago, and he's really upset. But then when we were talking over the phone, I asked him, I mean, did you look into if you were able to Airbnb this place? Because he's a newer client that I have.
Okay.
And he said that he had a friend who was doing Airbnb, and he's like, well, yeah, I just figured everything was fine. And it's like, nah, man, that's it. You're purchasing a property. That's a very big very big purchase. You need to look at everything before you sign that dotted line and commit yourself to something like that. And it's something that, I mean, I've heard of other people going through where you just don't do your due diligence. You put yourself in this position and then something gets taken away and it's like, all right, well, you still got to pay that mortgage. You're still up for it. So what are you going to do now?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna help them pivot to midterm rentals, and I feel like I mean, there's more. There's people who hosts who want to save a lot of money, for example, on furnishings, and they get a lot of cheap stuff.
Yeah.
They're in the thick of it, and all of a sudden they're getting a lot of negative reviews. This bed is uncomfortable. This couch is like in really bad shape. Or again, it's all. I think the main thing is just being prepared. If you're gonna any investment, it could be Airbnb, whatever it is, but just be prepared before you commit to it. Not to the point where you're overanalyzing. Not to the point where you are. What's that saying? Paralysis by analysis.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, you don't want that to happen either, but there has to be a middle ground. You still have to do research. You still have to go in well prepared before you invest in anything.
Yeah. It's like the whole like trust but verify
Yeah,
type thing. Like, yeah, you don't want to go crazy, but you have to at least maybe get your ducks in a row and just make sure. There's certain rules in certain counties, and you want to make sure that you're adhering to those rules and see if you qualify, right?
exactly. Yeah. And then it run comps. How are
Mhm.
people in this area doing this? Like, do I do it like this? Do I try to do a little bit better? It's all in the preparation.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. I guess over the next 2-3 years, maybe, what are your goals look like in terms of like growth or even deals? Yeah, I'm sure
Yeah,
you may have thought of
yeah.
that, but yeah.
My goals are they've changed a little bit.
Okay.
Changed a little bit now with the just me really getting into the whole AI and operations side of it. I do want to focus on my Airbnbs because I know that's something it's something that I love. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of stress, but it's worth it. It's so worth it, especially if you're into people, if you want to provide a good service. So we hopefully do want to still house hack one or two more, preferably fourplexes,
Yeah.
but then at the same time, we also want to start looking at like a cabin, maybe somewhere in the Smokies, somewhere maybe Wisconsin Dells, kind of a thing, where it's a vacation destination when it's nice out and it's not too far from us, somewhere that we can still drive to.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, keep working on my SaaS, on my project that I have for the tax appeals. But yeah, no, we want to keep expanding that. Same thing with the co-hosting. We just signed on our VA and she's been wonderful. I mean, she's freed me up to do a lot of this stuff. None of this would be possible if I didn't have someone helping me out. And we want to keep going with that as well. I mean, Airbnb's been really good to us and they've been sending a good amount of leads my way. And hopefully we can sign on another VA, hopefully in the next, I'm thinking 2-3 months. And then, yeah, get a runner, someone. I still do a lot of the stuff myself. If there's issues, emergencies, I'm the guy that's driving out there. I want to hire my first runner who just will do all that driving around and be the contact if anything, you know.
Okay. So right now you don't have a handyman, like that's you right now.
So I have a handyman, but I
Okay.
don't have someone who goes out for, like, for example, this was about a month and a half ago. I had a guest who arrived to one of my Airbnbs. They arrived like at 2-3 in the morning. So frustrating. They went in to drop off their luggage, and then they were gonna go back out to the car to get more, but they went out through a different door and they used a key and they left it in. They locked it from the outside. They didn't go
Oh.
back in, and they're just blowing up my phone at 3:30 in the morning.
Oh man. Okay.
And
Okay.
I was like, dude, this is not. I don't want this right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That's
that
what I'm
was
saying.
yeah,
Okay.
so having a runner is what they call them,
Gotcha.
is someone that's on call 24/7, and hey, these guys lock themselves out, pay them $30 and he'll go let them in, go home, and
Yeah.
just a lot easier.
Yeah. Okay. So gotcha. No, that makes sense. Cool. Well, how long have you been doing this?
We've been at this about 3.5 years now, I think. About 3.5 years.
That's awesome. And you obviously have enough properties. If you don't mind, not if how many properties do you have?
So property is just ours outright. It's just the one fourplex that we're house hacking. So it's four separate Airbnb listings, but it's
Oh,
just
I
that
see.
one. Yeah, so it's just that one property, and then the other properties that we have, I manage for others, and that's
Okay.
9. I think we're at right now. Nine properties that I manage.
Wow. So you're okay. So you own a property and you're doing the short-term rentals there, but you're doing property management for other clients.
Correct. Yeah, they call it
Wow.
co-hosting. Yeah.
Co-hosting. Got it. Okay. Wow. Okay. Very cool. Thanks for that delineation. I'm learning
Yeah.
myself. No, that's great. Cool. Well, that sounds awesome. Well, this has been a great interview. I enjoyed talking to you. Definitely want to learn more and keep up with you and see what you're doing. Where can people reach out to you, whether it's your socials or your website, or maybe they just want to learn how to get into short-term or mid-term rentals?
Yeah. So you can email me at gus@comfystays.info, and I'm very good about answering my emails. And I do consulting, so I have helped people start their Airbnbs from scratch. Proud to say I've made them, turn them into super hosts off the bat. Again, once you know the system, you know how to work it. It's kind of easy, and it can be overwhelming when it's your first time. You don't know what to do. How do I take these pictures? What do I put in the listing? What should my title be? How do I organize the pictures? When you do this and only think about this all day for like the past 3.5 years, it's just easy.
Yeah.
So you kind of know how to work the algorithm. You know what they're looking for, in terms of the pictures, the quality of the pictures, the lighting, listing descriptions, the SEOs, all that fun stuff. So I do consulting, and then again, if it's a right fit, I'll co-host as well if you're close enough. And I'm also now interested in doing more remote co-hosting where it's more guest communications. It's doing the pricing. We do dynamic pricing, so it's going to fluctuate depending on how busy it is and whatever area that listing is in. But my email is the best source for all of that.
Okay. Yeah. Um, as far as like midterm, do you guys cater to, traveling medical professionals and stuff like that if they want
Yeah.
3 months, 6 months? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We had someone stay with us about a year and a half ago, and she was interning at a laboratory probably like 20-25 minutes away from us. And we've had nurses stay with us.
That's
We've
great.
had a lot of digital nomads, people who are going to come work on their computers, which is really nice. I mean, if anyone's listening and you're doing long-term rentals right now, furnishing it can be affordable if you're resourceful, you know where to look. You don't want to be cheap, but you want to be intentional with everything you do. If you get a good mattress, if you get a decent bed, and you just give a solid place for someone to want to lay their head down, it's hard not to do good. And again, it's all about being a people person, just having open communication, and wanting. It's like you said earlier, just treat them the way you want to be treated when you're going on vacation, or if you have to relocate somewhere for 6 months.
That's it.
Yeah, no, midterm rentals is very powerful. If you can't do Airbnb in your area, I always recommend midterm rentals.
Nice. Yeah. No, that's great. Well, yeah, again, thanks for being on the podcast. This has been like very insightful, and I know there's going to be a lot of people in the community that is, they're going to love this episode. So thanks a lot.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. This was a lot.
Yeah, you bet. I'm going to stop the recording.